Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here at my channel, we talk about all of our favorite TV reality shows. We have recaps, reviews, and discussions. This video, we are talking the new Love and Marriage Huntsville episode that premiered last night. If you're viewing this video, you're viewing on Sunday. I decided to do the review today instead of last night because I was just really tired last night, you guys, and trying to wrap up all this studying for my new business thing I got going on. So I'd rather come to you guys fresh and ready to go. So this is actually season 5, episode 1, titled Whit-Low Priorities. I thought this was like a mid-season cutoff that they were doing, but now it's a whole new season 5. So I thought that was kind of weird. But y'all know I don't be titling they stuff all crazy. So anyway, before we get into anything, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to comment, share. Also, once you click the subscribe button, which I hope and pray you do, drop your name in the comments and shout out where you're from. Let me know what you thought of the episode, what you thought of this review, okay? So, yes, y'all, we are back with Love and Marriage Huntsville. The season looks like it's going to be good, based on the previews. I actually thought this episode was really interesting and telling, right? It was pretty good. It wasn't nothing too major happening, but it's definitely an interesting episode. So let's just get into it. Okay, so the episode literally left off where they left off back in, what was that, July or June, when they were still filming, when they were still having episodes. So it literally, that's why to me it makes sense that it says season 5, episode 1. That's just so weird. Anyway, so unless it said 11, I'm gonna double check, make sure I have it right in the title. But I thought I'd seen season 5, episode 1. Anywho, let's get on with it. So you know, Melody was backstage. I always want to call her Melanie. When people have the name Melody, I get Melody and Melanie confused. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, she was backstage. You know, she was hosting that event of the new amphitheater in Huntsville. And so, you know, Martell had brought the kids. So they literally picked off where they left off the last time. Like, I was like, dang, they literally just picked up right where they left off. Okay, I mean, we ain't mad at it, right? So anyway, the kids came. Van got them some drinks, took me some lemonade and some waters. And then, you know, Martell and Melody are just sitting there looking there at each other real awkwardly. Okay. And so, you know, she thanked him for bringing the kids. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course, you know, you gotta, you know, I want them to see you and support their mom and all that good stuff. Okay. So anyway, then, you know, he took the kids as Van asked, you know, how it went. And she was like, yeah, it's definitely different because, you know, I've been seeing him in so long and, you know, things can be different between us now. And Martell was saying that it's always hard being around Mel because, you know, there's always the drama getting started. So he's always a little nervous, but he felt like it went well. And Melody sent her confessional, you know, the decisions you make affect other people. Because, like, now, you know, Ms. Van looks at Martell in a different light, as she should, right? So anyway, moving on, let's get to the couples retreat because this is where it was good. So Kimmy and Maurice are like the first to arrive at the couples retreat. Maurice said he good. Dr. Francis fixed him. He got his life together, so he don't really need the fixing, but he is ready to help the other couples get their life together if they need assistance from him. Kimmy was like, yeah, she don't understand why he think he fixed, but we gonna figure it out. So Kimmy was introduced to Dr. Francis and his wife, Marlo, I believe the wife's name was. Anyway, and she was like, oh, you finally get to meet the man that fixed my husband. And then Mark's like, well, I was hoping you could fix Kimmy. And the wife was like, well, she has to be willing to be fixed. And so Kimmy was letting them know that she is more open to the process than her husband Maurice is. And Maurice is like, oh yeah, I'm good, I got it together. So then we see the Whit-Lows arrive. So Tiffany and Louis arrive, right? And so then Tisha and Marcel are still not there. So Kimmy, Dr. Francis is like, okay, where's the couple? They are late. And Kimmy's like, well, let me give them a call. Like, you can't expect for them to be on time. So then, y'all know that one family, that one couple that always be late to the events. That was my family growing up. Okay, that we used to always be late, and then they would tease us based on our last name about us being late. I ain't gonna tell y'all my last name on here because I know y'all like that. But anyway, if you know me, you know it. So, anyway, they called Tisha, and Tisha said, "Oh, we had a mix up with the nanny and the schedule." And Marcel talking about traffic, and Kimmy's like, "Okay, sound real good, Marcel. Well, we sitting here with Dr. Francis, and he wondering where y'all at." Marcel was like, "Dr. Francis," and so y'all remember last episode or two before we went on hiatus, Letitia told Marcel they was going on a couple trip, but he did. Did she say Nashville or somewhere like that? And that they were, well, I think they are in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. Anywho, basically, she didn't let him know that this was a canceling trip. She made him think it was like a fun trip. So anyway, so that's why he was shocked. Like, Dr. Francis is there, and then he was like, "What? Like, what's going on?" And so then they're like, "Okay, we'll be there shortly." So anyway, Kimmy was like, "Yeah, I don't think Tisha let him know like what was really going on," because our friends was like, "Oh, it's not like he was shocked to know I was here." And she's like, "Yeah, she didn't really tell him all the ins and outs of what the trip was really about, so that's why he was shocked." So anyway, Dr. Francis is about to get into the whole couples thing. He writing notes on the board talking about, you either gonna play games or you're gonna be present, you're gonna be committed, you're gonna be vulnerable, you're gonna be open to the process. And so then at that moment, Tiffany's like, "Oh, you know what? I got this work call. I have to take it right now. I couldn't move it off the schedule, so I'm just going to step in the other room and deal with this." But then Dr. Francis, he maintained them bug eyes the whole time. That's just how his eyes look. But his eyes was really bugged out when she did that. He was like, okay. So then he's kind of like, no, she didn't. So then Tiffany literally steps away to take the phone call. And so then Dr. Francis is like, he's like, so he tells us your wife just took a phone call during our time together of this session. And he was like, where's her level of commitment? Like, what is she doing? And so then Louis tried to stand up for her. Is like, oh, she let me know she had to do this call. We both know what's going on in our marriage. Like, I can communicate any message you want me to tell her, but I'm here and I'm present to do this. And so, Dr. Francis is like, okay, but like your wife is leaving you here by yourself to do this work by yourself. And so Dr. Francis was already over Tiffany. Okay. So then, Maurice was like, yeah, I learned, like, you can't be putting work in front of other people. So then, I don't know if they took a break or what happened, but Louis went in the other room and Tiffany she's like, I just got off the call, and something about her sister misses, something she said. So anyway, Louis is like, okay, well, when you back in the main room, like, you gonna hear a lot about like you leaving the meeting. And Tiffany was like, well, I said I had to call, I couldn't move it, but like, your commitment to be here. So Louis let her know, like, Dr. Francis is not pleased with this. So anyway, then we do see Letitia and Marceau arrived, but they were upset when they arrived. And I think Dr. Francis's wife greeted them on the porch when they arrived. So unfortunately, Letitia got the news right when they were getting there that one of her best friends passed away. And so I believe the friend was friends with her and Marceau. And so, Marceau was talking about the devastation of their loss. And I feel bad for Letitia. Our prayers and hearts go out to Letitia and the Scotts and the family of the friend who passed away. That is really, really hard. And in the confessional, they're talking about how life is so short. And even though Marceau wasn't, happy to come to this couples therapy session, he did say that he felt like this would be good for them to be doing at the time of this loss, and a good distraction. So, it kind of was like divine timing, in my opinion. Not that we wanted the friend to go, but I think that happening kind of helped them both lean on each other, be more in tune with each other, and be in the process a lot better than maybe they would not have been before. In my opinion, I don't know. So anywho, let's get back to Huntsville. So back in Huntsville, we see Martell picked up his mom. So his mom's going with Martell to go pick up the kids. It's their last day of school, okay? So now we back to starting school in real time. So that just kind of gives us a time frame of probably when this was filmed, right? So anyway, Martell and his mom, is her name Miss Marlene? I like Miss Marlene. So anyway, they were talking, and Martell was telling her how he took the kids to Mel's event to go see them, even though it was his weekend. And I'm like, y'all better give Martell his credit. I guess Martell, whatever. So anyway, that was nice of him to do. All right. So then she was like, yeah, that's good. That's their mom. And I know that, I guess there was some drama with Mel and Martell's mom. I'm not really aware of it. I don't keep up with all their social media drama they got going on because I don't have the time. So I guess Melody was feeling like Miss Marlene was saying stuff about her and about her mom. And Martell was saying that Miss Van, one time she went to go pick up the kids, drop them off, and Miss Van was standing next to him. And she said something like, oh, I don't even feel comfortable standing next to you right now. And Marlene was like, well, if you don't feel comfortable, you go on. Like, I have a life. Like, I'm not worried about y'all, like all this stuff. And, Miss Marlene said she don't wish nothing bad on Melody. She want her to keep doing what she doing. And, she don't know where the problem came from. She don't even need an apology from her. She gonna keep doing living her life. She want Melody to be happy and keep doing what she doing. And so Martell said in his confessional that, his mom has been nothing but nice to Mel. They had a good relationship before, and he hopes that they can, solve their issues and move forward, basically. I didn't even realize they had an issue. That was kind of like, where did this come from? I don't really get all that. But anyway, they picked the kids up. They said they had a good day at school. I love how they're so proper. I'm like, they're raising them kids right. I love kids that know how to put a handle on a name, okay? When we used to go back to Wichita, Kansas to visit our my great grandma and my great aunties and uncles, we had to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, all that good stuff. But here in Cali, we weren't really raised to do all that. We were raised with respect, to respect our elders, of course. But when we go back there, we definitely have to make sure we are even more proper. In Cali, we don't have to be as proper. So anyway, so I like how they're like, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. They were all, so they had a good, last day of school and all that good stuff. So anyway. Then back at the retreat, right, we see Dr. Francis is talking with all the couples. And so he said that he didn't address Letitia and Marcel being late in that moment because, he knows they just dealt with the loss. But he will probably address it with them later. Oh, Dr. Francis was also down in the confessionals, y'all. His suit on, his tie on, his jacket on. Okay, I said, go ahead, Dr. Francis. They better give him a spinoff. I'm like, come on, people. Give that man a spinoff. So when Tiffany came back in the room, Dr. Francis did address the group. He said, the core things in the marriage is vulnerability, commitment, being there. And so he said, Tiffany, you left your husband to do this by yourself because you had to take a call. And Louis, you said nothing. You made an excuse of why that was okay. And so, he said, instead of you speaking, letting go of fear and speaking up, you covered your wife. And so he's like, yeah, excuse me, that's what I'm going to do. And so Tiffany was saying that, Louis knew, I had to do this. I have no ahead of time. We are in sync with our marriage. My schedule didn't permit for me to move this call. There was nothing else I could do. And so, Dr. Francis was like, oh, you're gonna, your calendar, your schedule, you're gonna schedule your way right out of this marriage. And so then Maurice was like, ooh. And so Dr. Francis was saying, you're putting work above your marriage. You're putting work above everything else. Work has priority over everything in your life. And so Tiffany was saying, we'll work for one marriage, may not work for another marriage. I have to, I know I have to, spend more time with Louis. I know I have to have more sex with Louis. I got to do this. I got to do that. And, when I'm at work, I give 100% of my time to work and 100% to home. So then Kimmy called Kat. Basically, Kimmy was like, no, how's that possible? You can't give. She's like, that's literally impossible. You cannot give 100% to work and 100% to at home. That does not work. What are you saying? And so then And everybody else is looking like, girl, bye. So then Tiffany was like, well, that's what's literally been working for me this whole time in my marriage. Just that's what I have to do. And so Dr. Francis is like, no. Basically, Dr. Francis was not having it. And I'm glad he didn't let Tiffany get off easy. He really got into her. And so then, Dr. Francis was saying, like, people play games or they're going to commit to the process. So anyway, after Dr. Francis finished getting Tiffany all the way together, everybody's getting Tiffany together. So then, and Dr. Francis was also basically trying to let Louis know, like, instead of you speaking up and correcting Tiffany, you're just letting her do this. Like, what's going on? So anyway, Marlo came with the ropes. And Marlo was like, since y'all like to play games, you're going to tie this rope to the ankles, not the knees. So, like, the couple, so like, let's say Kimmy ties one leg, ties her leg and Maurice's leg together around the ankle, okay? And they have to walk for 15 minutes. Kimmy said 15 minutes. So anyway, so then the couples are outside walking, right? So Tisha and Marcel were really, really in good stride with each other. I really like how they handled the exercise. I was really proud to see how they handled the exercise. Not completely shocked that they would be good. And like they said in their confessional, they've been married 16 years, so it wasn't that hard for them. I think that Marcel and Letitia have both played the parts they needed to play in their marriage and showed up and be in their roles. Of course, yes, we've seen them have their troubles. Yeah, we may not agree with some of the things Tisha deals with and something Marcel does, but at the end of the day, I personally don't have a problem with Marcel with Tisha's marriage. As long as I didn't like the Africa thing, and there's been things I didn't like that he did. Don't get me wrong. We don't have any concrete evidence of this man cheating yet to date that I'm aware of. We only have a bunch of allegations. Letitia plays her part, and Marcel plays their part, and they work together, and that's what works for their marriage. So I feel like we don't need to be, continually speaking on it. Because they proved in this episode to me, they proved that they are in sync with each other. Whether we agree with it or not, they are in sync with each other. So they were like jogging through it. Maurice and Kimmy were arguing because Kimmy was like, you're about to make me fall. Like you're doing it too fast. You're doing it wrong. And then she was like, you're holding me too tight. I need you to do this and that. And then Maurice is okay. Like, tell me what feels natural for you. What do you want me to do? And so they were really struggling through it. Tiffany was like, she's not used to walking this slow. She don't like, Louis said she doesn't like being tied up. She doesn't like being tied down. And Marcel's like, oh, you don't like being tied together with Louis. And so the exercise was very interesting, the issues they were having, because it does like mirror what issues they were having in their marriage. And Dr. Francis was talking about it in the confessional about how Marcel and Tisha seem to be really in sync with each other. However, Kimmy and Maurice were really struggling and not able to move as fast. Marcel and Tisha was running. And then Tiffany kept asking Louis to pick her up. So eventually he did, because she said she was tired of walking. She don't like doing this. So he was picking up her picking her up to move her, basically. Not like that, but like with his leg. And so Dr. Francis was making a point about that too. He was like, he noticed that Tiffany kept asking Louis to pick her up, and he did, and he wonders like if he did it because he wanted to, or he didn't want to like suffer any repercussions of if he didn't want to. So they got done playing the game, and so they seemed to get a lot of insight out of it. And Dr. Francis let them know like the point of the game was not to see who did it the faster thing, is to see like what issues you have in your marriage, because the two legs tied together are the part of you in your marriage that are lockstep together, are in sync or in unison. But then the two outside legs are the parts of you that you are independent of the marriage, that you might have to give up to be in the marriage and all that kind of thing. It's very interesting exercise, really interesting. So and Marcel seemed to kind of get the insight of the exercise as he did discuss in his confessional, right? So back over to Huntsville. This scene, anyway, Stormy was down to her Zen in her house. Now, I do love how she had the Zen in. Her house is beautiful. Her land, her ranch is gorgeous. Stormy is doing a damn thing with that, okay? I like how she got all the little plants in her little Zen area. I'm not personally into all that chakra stuff and whatever she was doing with them bowls and energy. Not my thing. I don't know, how that lines in with Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior in the Bible. So I don't really get into those things. But so, excuse me, Melody came over to see the Zen Den. She rang the doorbell. Stormy never got up to let that girl in. So I guess producer said, come on in, girl. And so then Melody's like, hey, Stormy, girl, I can hear the vibrations. And she did a little like nervous laugh. Like, I think Melody was like, girl. So then Stormy was saying, she goes in her Zen Den just about every day, especially if she's had a rough day with a bunch of business meetings and calls and chaoticness going on. She does go in her Zen Den just to release and to decompress and have some me time, unplug, which is good. I think everybody should have a safe, peaceful place and space to do that, and a time and a space to do that. So then, Stormy was explaining to her how everything works in a Zen Den, and this is for your heart, this is for that, this is for that. And they was doing something with the bowls and all that, and so Stormy was asking about Melody's event that she hosted. She's like, "Why you didn't come, girl?" And did the story say she didn't have a reservation? Something she gave anyway. She said how Martell brought the kids, and it was kind of awkward, but it was cool. And then she went on to talk about the issue, how Miss Van feels about Martell. And then she went on to talk about her issues with Miss Marlene and how Miss Marlene is kind of different. Because Stormy asked her, what's the relationship between you and Martell's mom? To me, all this was like contrived drama, made up drama. I messed up the word. Sounds like made up drama for Melody. Have a little storyline, in my opinion, but maybe, like I said, I don't be paying attention to the social media streets, so maybe it's something I missed there. Melody did not like how Miss Marlene said, and this was like a good season ago, wasn't it? About how Miss Marlene said that, she was really running Martell into the ground, and especially when they first got married, Martell would just be working, and Melody would just lay up and be like, Martell, and really nagging on him and all that. And so Melody was like, that's not true. I'm not lazy. Like, as you can see from everything I've done now, like, that is not true. And so I get how Mel could be offended by that. However, like I said, that scene, how long ago was that scene, y'all? Drop it down in the comments. Like, I'm confused of why this is bothering Mel now. So I'm like, it has to be more to it, right? It has to be more. Anyway, let's get back down to the couples retreat, because this is the better parts of the episode. So back down to the couples retreat. Couples are getting ready to go have dinner at the table at the house with Dr. Francis and his wife. So we see them getting all cleaned up, and Letitia, I like that teal she had on. And so she was asking Marcel, what do you think of this? He's like, I'm not into couples therapy, I'm not in surprises. And Letitia's like, well, it really wasn't a surprise. So I'm like, girl, how was it not surprising? You didn't tell him. That's a surprise. So anyway, but he, like Marcel said in his confessional, he knows Letitia wants him to really do this, so he gonna try to do it. And Marcel really is present in doing the work, okay? A little show-offy about it, but he's doing the work. So anywho, then back in Kimmy and Maurice's room, Kimmy was saying, I don't like how we were communicating during the exercise, and it seems like, we couldn't get in sync. And so Maurice is like, yeah, like, it seems like when I would lead, we would make progress, but then when you would try to lead, we would, things wouldn't go right. And Kimmy was saying that he kept holding her too tight and in the wrong way. And so then in the confession, was Maurice is like, okay, she said I was holding her too tight, so I let go. And so then Kimmy was like trying to explain that basically she wasn't saying let go when he's holding her too tight. She was just saying loosen up a little bit. So I think that, I don't know, I buy all what they're talking about in exercise. I was trying to see, like, what is the issue with Kimmy and Maurice? Definitely communication. And y'all drop down in the comments and let me know what the exercise was telling for you when it came to Maurice and Kimmy. I think definitely communication. I think Kimmy likes to do things her certain way. She's been so used to doing things on her own, and Maurice likes to do things his certain way. And so I think, and Kimmy's a strong personality, so is Maurice. They're both leaders, and so them try to figure out how to lead together or let Maurice lead. Because Maurice does have a tendency to jump and do something and then tell Kimmy and try to bring her into it. Because remember with the Scott Manor and the real estate and all that, and he's trying to get her to do this and quit her job and do all the real estate stuff, and she didn't want to do that. So I think that's where their issue is maybe the leadership and the communication and how things are done. Because Kimmy wants to do things the way she wants to do it, and Maurice wants her to do it the way he wants to do it. So anyway, but like I said, y'all let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. So they all go to the table, and Louis says in a confessional that he's excited that the sessions are done, and he wants to get to know the couples better and Miss Marlowe better. So anyway, Dr. Francis is like, okay, like, I hope you guys enjoyed the day. Everybody's looking good. Let's enjoy this food. Food was looking good, too. I don't know who cooked. I don't know if Miss Marlowe cooked, because it didn't look like nothing was on the stove. Looked like they ordered that food in, to be honest. So Dr. Francis is like, what was some things you took away from today? Oh, Dr. Francis also let them know earlier after the exercise that we are not here for fun. You're here to get something for your marriage. Dr. Francis don't be playing, okay? And that's what I like about him. So anyway, he was like, are you guys ready for me to leave and get out your hair? Like, what's up? And so then Tiffany's like, oh, no, we like a challenge. And Marcel was talking about the rope game, about how it really shows, like, you have to give up something, part of yourself in the marriage. And yeah, you might get a little bruise on your leg or something, but you're going to get something much better in return. And he's like, it's not about who won or nothing, because, they did win. But he was like, being in sync with your wife. Marcel's just talking about his experience with the challenge. So then, and then Letitia asked a good question about, how much of yourself to the marriage do you feel like you have to give? Because Dr. Francis was saying, like, at points you might be giving up more of yourself than other times, which I think is true, right? And so then she's like, because like as a mother of young children, like before, like, I feel like I have to give more time to the kids and then my husband, but then as they get older, they're able to do more on their own, so then I can give more to the marriage. And so then Dr. Francis was like, well, you train your kids and then they become independent where they don't need you as much anymore. So then you're able to hone in more with your husband. And then we get the empty nest syndrome feeling, and then we want, to be able to still take care of the kids. And so then Louis and Tiffany were kind of laughing and smiling. And so then Dr. Francis was like, oh, I got some takers. And so then Tiffany was explaining how she wants to have a baby, and she's not sure if Louis is on board. He's got a wishy-washy about it. Even Dr. Francis was looking like, oh, baby, like, girl, girl. So I was like, Tiffany, still talking about this baby, y'all, why? So anywho, and Tiffany came to that table like she's going to church service. But her confessional look with that peach and that teal flower dress was cute, okay, but she had the cleavage showing. I'm not saying Tiffany got to show all her goods off, but she just dresses so matronly, like she's way older. So anyway, because she is. So anyway, Tiffany was saying that she wants to have a baby, and Louis was saying, like, we do have 2 kids between us. They're like 15 and 16, and Tiffany always wants to be there now with them, even though now they're teenage boys. They're trying to do their own thing. They're not trying to be bothered by the parents. And so Tiffany, then Louis was saying, well, we also are considering foster care because, Tiffany's been in foster care, so that, the need for that and wanting to do that comes from, what she's been through, which I think would be great if they did foster care or adoption. So anyway, Dr. Francis asked Tiffany how long have you been in foster care. She said since she was born. And then so he was like, oh, okay. And then Tiffany also explained that her foster parents were heavily into drugs for a lot of her childhood, which I didn't know that. I'm like, dang, Tiffany been through it. As much of a hard time as I give Tiffany on my channel and Twitter, I do, my heart goes out for her story, and I hope that she has done all the necessary healing work that she needs to do. And I think she has some issues in there that maybe she didn't realize. I feel like Dr. Francis is really bringing it out of her. So Dr. Francis also said, okay, so you had a great, that's a loss. You not having your parents there, then the parents being on drugs that adopted you, like, that's a loss. And he was like, have you been married before? She was like, yeah. So he's like, you had 3 losses because the parents being on drugs, he said they were not available to you, And so, because, if they're on drugs, they worry about drugs, they worry about Tiffany. So he's like, that's 3 major losses you've had. So he was basically explaining, like, you want to have a baby because you feel like, that baby won't ever leave you, that will be yours. And that'll be something that won't create a loss. And he said that her being adopted is probably indicative of her attachment and detachment styles. And I was like, okay, Dr. Francis be putting it together. I'm learning so much from him. So Marcel brings up the issue of time. Because Marcel's, I can't help to notice that you're always talking about time earlier, and he was like, well, how would that, bring, if you brought a baby, like, how would that deal with time, Louis? And Louis was like, time for what? Marcel's like, time for what you want your wife to do, like sex, Negro. And so Louis was, and Tiffany said, well, I've always functioned well in organized chaos. So then Marcel's like, you want to bring a baby into chaos? Marcel ain't right. Marcel ain't right. So, but he had a point, right? He had a point. So, Louis was like, yeah, of course, if we got a baby, it'll be less time. She's gonna be nursing the baby doing that. So I get it. Like, yeah, it will be less time, but we would make the time. And so then, Louis points out how he's like, Louis, you are very, philosophical. You read a lot of philosophy books, huh? He's like, yes, I did. He's like, student becomes a teacher eventually. They're like, teacher? And Tiffany, even the professor, was like, you a teacher or what? And so she's like, yeah, whatever. And so then I was like, teacher or what? And so Dr. Francis said, Louis is not vulnerable. He always answers things in a philosophical way. Like, he answers things in a general philosophical way. He doesn't put himself into it because he doesn't want to deal with his emotions and his vulnerability, and he has fear there. And so Louis feels like that's not true, that he deals with his emotions. And so Kimmy's fed up at this point. We all are. And Kimmy's like, okay, so, Dr. Francis is, he's been an expert in his field 46 years, really good at what he does. He's seen y'all for a few hours, and he's telling you guys and giving you advice about your marriage, and you guys don't seem receptive to it, like you're taking it in. And so they were just like, well, we don't see how these things are part of our marriage. Like, we know what is going on with us. We good. And so it came in her professional. She's like, it's mind-boggling to her because they always had something to say about everybody else's marriages. But then when it comes to theirs, they're not to be able to receive any kind of critique. And she's like, it just goes back to the whole transparency thing, which it does. You hit the nail on the head, Kimmy. Like, we're finally seeing, it's all playing out what we've been saying and seeing the whole time leading up to this point when it comes to the Whit-Lows, right? So then Dr. Francis was saying, like, we all play a game. And then when our game is found out, we try to play another game to show that we're not playing a game. And so then they're like, you think, we're playing a game? And then he was like, listen, I wasn't told anything about y'all before y'all came here. Like, this is what I'm getting from you right now in this moment. Like, basically, like, you guys marriage is not what you're trying to make it seem. Like, you're putting on an act. I don't know if he used the word act, so then they were like, oh, so basically you're saying our marriage is an act. And then they cut the episode right there. And everybody was looking like, and smirking like, yeah, this is what we've been saying the whole time. So I'm glad that Dr. Francis called all the BS on the Whit-Lows. We're going to see what happens with them next week, okay? The season looks like it's going to get good. We're going to get the whole Sheree Martell storyline. We're going to see Miss Funky Dineva, so I'm excited for that because I remember he did go down to Huntsville and visit them, so that is real cool. So I think the season going to be good. Y'all drop it down in the comments and let me know what y'all thought of the episode. Let me know if you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.